Hi there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 351 of our Be a Better You annual challenge. Today we are doing a relationship roundup. We're looking at each of the 9 life framework areas, and we're asking ourselves a couple of questions, and we're looking for some evidence from this past year. And then we're going to pick 3 things we want to make sure that we include as priorities next year. So I like to go back and look at, okay, at the beginning of the year, how did I rate this area of my life on a scale of 1 to 10? And then just about a week ago, I did the same thing, or we did the same thing as part of the challenge. And I see that I went from a 7 out of 10 to a 5 out of 10, which means I rate myself between the beginning and the end of the year down 2 whole points, right? Or 20%, not the direction I really want to be going with respect to all of my different relationships. So that is my first piece of information. Second piece of information is at the beginning of the year, I ranked relationships my number 2 priority. And about a week ago, I rated it now my number 1 priority. Why? Because I'm not going the direction I want to go, right? I know in different areas and aspects of my life, my relationships aren't getting better, or I'm not dealing with them at all. So part of what we're doing today is looking at any objective ways of knowing or measuring how to set our priorities for next year, how to decide what are the most important things we need to do. So as part of what I call roundups, we're doing roundups at the end of this year. I have no idea. Somebody asked me about a rodeo and it triggered old rodeo days for me. And so roundup was just, oh, let's do a roundup of 2025 leading into next year, 2026. So with respect to relationships, we want to ask ourselves, okay, what are some of the wins? What are some of the biggest positive things and changes that have happened over the last year? We want to hold on to those and build on those. What are some lessons that we learned? Where are some places that our relationships went south, maybe very quickly? And is that okay? Is it first and foremost, we need to forgive ourselves for those things and our part in that. But we also need to learn from it and say, okay, was this a relationship I really should have let it go of a long, long time ago? Sometimes that's the case. Or ask ourselves a few more questions so that we make sure we capture the lesson from that experience. Otherwise, guess what? We are doomed to repeat them. And then what is still our biggest relationship challenge? What's my biggest relationship challenge? And finally, what's next? Next year, what are the top 3 relationship related priorities, items, goals, whatever you want to call them, things you want to make sure that you address to deal with this area? I want to say once and for all, but there's no such thing as once and for all, right? Whenever we think we've let go of a limiting belief, guess what? It shows up in another way, and then we have to deal with it again. And that's just part of our journey and part of life. So today, wins, lessons learned, biggest challenge, and what's next. Wins, lessons learned, biggest challenge, and what's next. I should have an acronym for that, right? For the roundup. I'll think some rodeo related roundup thing and have that before the end of the 9 days, I'm sure. So that's it for today. I actually found my little book. It was with the children's books, my granddaughter's books. I don't know how it got mixed with them. And I did pull my card today. And since we're talking about relationships, and I've actually been doing a relationship deck all this month, unbeknownst to me until about the middle of the month, I'll share that. Let me grab a magnifying glass. And this one, pretty cards. They're very pretty cards. It's an Abraham Hicks deck. I'm sure I got it through Hay House. My manifestations are the indicators of my beliefs. Now, I say this all the time, and I actually remember to look at it nowadays at my results. What are the results you're getting in your relationships? If they are not what you want, it means that you've got some kind of a limiting or underlying belief that is actually damaging that relationship or undermining that relationship. How many people do we know that have been married and divorced, 3, 4, 5 times? Guess what? They haven't learned the lessons. They haven't figured out what their beliefs are about relationships, and that's why they're destined to repeat the same patterns. We all have patterns. We all have loops that we run until we become aware of them. And once we become aware of them, we can decide, is this a positive loop for me, a positive habit, a positive thing? Is it good that I show up consistently every day? I'm going to say yes, which is why I keep doing it. It's a habit. But do we all have ways of being and behaving and acting and tones of voice and communication processes that don't necessarily serve us and they have nothing to do with the person we're having an interaction with. Yes, we all have those too. So for Power Thoughts from Louise Hay, we have got, again, I need my magnifying glass. I rise above all limitations. I am divinely guided and inspired. I like that one. That's a good one for today. And then I am special and wonderful. The more I love myself, the less stress I have. Again, just show you a quick shot of those. Both very good messages for today. And what I'm finding is, and why I keep doing this, is every time I do this, sometime during the day, I'm going to need all three pieces of that information. I don't know when it'll be. It's a different time every day, different situation every day, but it comes up as important for me to have known at the beginning of each day. And it's why I'm probably going to keep pulling cards or something into next year, because it's fun, number one. And number two, it gives me a little bit more insight and self-awareness as things pop up during my day, as they inevitably do. And I'm sure they do for you as well. So that's it today. What are we doing? Looking at and rounding up the relationship area and aspect of our life. Wins, biggest challenge, what's next, meaning what do we want to bring into next year, and what are some lessons that we learned this year? Because we always want to capture those. If we capture those, it reinforces the learning. All right. Any questions? Hit me up. Otherwise, make it an amazing day. And I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow.